Welcome back to Revealing the Hidden, where we take a deeper look into Jewish living. I wanted to take a minute today to think about a person, a character in Jewish history who is surrounded by fascination, endless amounts of shiurim, books, incredible amounts of midrashim about his life. See, we had taken a little bit of time working on the Jewish home, and we'll come back to it, and the Jewish home being the primary place, the makom, that we're trying to find a way to reveal the hidden, find a way to elevate. But as if you remember from our kaleidoscope class, and if you haven't, you should definitely check it out, we also spoke about nefesh, man, and zman, time. And with Shavuos just passing, a very, very special character comes up, and that's David HaMelech, King David. And at first it's a little bit counterintuitive that he becomes such a theme of the holiday, because really, when you get to Torah, you think, is there a character we're going to think about? Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe, who brought the Torah from Har Sinai. Not that David HaMelech wasn't a great man. He was an amazing person. But what is it about David HaMelech that's connecting to Shavuos? Why do we think about him? And is there something that we could take with us as a message to move into the rest of the year? So it happens to be that David HaMelech has a lot to do with Shavuos. First and foremost, the book of Rus that we read is all about the lineage of David HaMelech. The Chidah points out that we read it on Shavuos. He says one of the reasons is because it's his yortzeit. He passed away. He was born and he passed away on the same day, on Shavuos. But more than that, there are Mefarshim who actually point out that Rus was written and canonized. Not everyone holds this way, but there are those who say that the reason it was canonized was because the Beis Din of the time used to have documentation to prove that someone was Jewish during a conversion. And we wanted to make sure that it was never lost that Rus was a true Jew, a Moaviyah, that was able to convert, and there was a real conversion. And we wrote an entire Sefer of Tanakh just to make sure that the lineage of David HaMelech is clear. And Shmuel HaNavi, as the author of that book, was making sure that that was the case, and that for all future generations, and even set into the holiday, we're now going to read this every year and remember that David HaMelech is going to be the one. Very cryptic also. Like, there's so many characters, and there were so many different prophecies and Sfarim that never made it into Tanakh. And this book is going to be canonized as one of the 24 Sfarim of Tanakh, just to make sure. Doesn't that sound odd? Just to make sure that it's clear that King David was really Jewish? That Rus's conversion was real? Apparently, David HaMelech has a lot of importance, and it's very, very key and critical and fundamental to Jewish living. So we're going to learn a little bit about him. We'll take 2 or 3 different classes to do it. And I wanted to start with something beautiful. You see, the Alshich goes right to the very beginning of creation. The Alshich asks a big question. There's a medrash that's become famous about Adam Harishon, Adam, that everyone knows. He saw a soul, and he's like, that soul needs to be in this world. So you know what? I'm going to take from my 1,000 years, and I'm going to hand him 70, and I'm going to give him life, and that's King David. I'm going to hand it to him, and all of a sudden this guy is really, really important, so I'm going to give from the first being that ever lived, I'm going to give him almost 1/10 of my life. It's an incredible gesture if you think about it. Could you imagine giving so much, almost 1/10 of your life to another soul that you've never met before? What's that all about? Why? Like, of course, he's a tzaddik. Give him 5 years. Maybe another tzaddik will give him 10 years. What's going on here? The Alshich says something incredible. Adam, the name Adam stands for Aleph is Adam, Dalet is David, and Mem is Mashiach. It says man is not just a character. Man represents the entire history of the world. From Adam, the first creator, and his fall. Then you had King David, who apparently played a big role here. And then you have Mashiach, the end of time. So you have the beginning of time and the end of time. What's the middle? David HaMelech, I've seen it from very great Mefarshim. David HaMelech is known as the Maimed of Tshuva, the pillar of coming back, of returning, of coming back to God, of understanding that there's a path that even when we're not our best self, even when we're not the person that we're trying to be, that there's always a way back to God. And you see it in the book of Tehillim. The 150 Tehillims are incredible. They're all about different places in your life. Darkness, Shigayon LeDavid, even when David had to pretend to be, that he went crazy running away from Shaul, all across his life, different ways that he wants to come back to Hashem. We had descriptions of how he was crying and his bed would be so wet and soaked in tears. And it teaches us that no matter what's going on in our life, no matter how far away we think we are, that there's always a way back. There's a way to climb back to Hashem. So what happened with Adam? Adam originally, in theory, didn't need David. Adam was created in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden. He was perfect. According to the Mefarshim, he reached from one end of the earth to the other. According to Mefarshim, his feet went from the ground to heaven. Mefarshim would say that he was transparent. His soul shines so brightly that you saw soul instead of body. There was so much holiness and greatness in him. It was only after he sinned and he introduced death to the world, loss, falling, leaving this perfect space of Gan Eden, that there was a need for this Tehillim. There was a need for a way to crawl back to Hashem. And David HaMelech, the great king, through word after word, pasuk after pasuk, his entire life is a lesson about no matter where you are in life and no matter what's going on, there's a way to take that moment and use it as a rope to bind yourself to Hashem more deeply, in a more powerful way, to be more connected. And not only are you not as close, not only are you as close as you used to be, you could be even closer. Because from the fall comes greater growth. And that's what we learned from David. And so once Adam sinned, only then did he need David HaMelech in order to go back, in order to fix the world and bring the Mashiach. So says the Alshich, Aleph Daled Mem, Adam David Mashiach, the path of man, the redemption, the way for the individual and for all of history is you're created, you fall, you get back up again. You find from wherever it is that you're going that you're going to bind yourself, and the Yeshua comes. It enters the world. Message number one about David HaMelech. Everywhere that you are in life, there's a way to connect that back to God. And the question is for Nefesh, revealing the hidden. The challenge is for you in your one moment, wherever it is that you are, to look and say, right now, God put me here, in this place, in this time, and I'm supposed to use this to connect to Him. How am I going to create the link in that chain so that I can tie myself to Him? Thank you for listening. Hopefully see you tomorrow.